Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the third episode of our weekly podcast. I'm Isha and have along with me Manya, Anjali, Shweta, and Kunjan. The film choice this week is very different and closer home. The Monsoon Wedding, a 2001 BAFTA winning film directed by an Indian American filmmaker, Meera Nair. The setting is that of an elaborate Hindu wedding in an upper middle class family in India. The diegetic sounds of being in an Indian marriage play an integral role in transporting the viewer into this setup. Indian marriages, as worded by Soham Kadre in his review, are a microcosm of the state of the nation. The movie makes judicious use of this setting of a peak in social interaction to touch upon a plethora of issues and nuances, which, in my opinion, most of India in 2001 wasn't ready to face, and we are still conservative about a lot of these issues. In this sense, the movie is definitely progressive and ahead of its time. These issues include class structures, post-reform globalization and changes in Indian culture as a result of it, hierarchies within the family and the position of the female within it, pressures around the institution of marriage, equation of English with being cultured, sexual division of labor, the abhorrent issue of the male gaze, affair, and many more subtle suggestions.
Adding to what you just said, Isha, I think it's important to note how the movie is seamlessly able to highlight the Indian mentality. By this, I particularly mean how much importance they put on NRIs and their biases towards them. In the film, as an upper middle class family who has many family members living abroad, this family is still rooted in India. But the choice of groom remains an NRI. This has a lot to do with the Indian viewpoint. We see NRIs as capable people who are extremely well settled and have good jobs and high incomes. They are seen as treasures and ideal men to marry daughters to. We seem to have set extremely high standards for NRIs as they are foreigners who belong to the Indian culture. It's the perfect well-set future that every father dreams of. But through this movie, we also see the biases against them. In the movie, the father mocks the idea that NRIs always speak English and are extremely high class. We also see an instance where the bride and the groom are talking, and he mentions how he should be more accepting of the bride's previous love life since he is an NRI. Lastly, the instance where a guy is called a foreigner for not being able to perform a Bollywood dance. Through this, I noticed how Indians not only place NRIs on a pedestal, but also assume that they have moved away from their culture and are now accepting foreign norms. Shweta, what is your opinion?
I drastically didn't resonate with the film and found it very disappointing. Though the plot was well done, I thought the camera work was mediocre. You can see this in follow shots they take of the characters or when the main character left in the car. I couldn't resonate with the movie well since I only recently moved to India and it wasn't a wedding culture I was used to, especially since I'm South Indian and both celebrate very differently. It seemed to me the movie was made for a more foreign or NRI audience than an Indian residence audience, since the movie glamorized the hectic life during weddings and familial bonding compared to other Bollywood films about weddings. It was still very refreshing to see that it wasn't a monotonous story about a singular man and woman with dance sequences involved. For a movie released in 2001, it involved a lot of provocative scenes, from the kissing to the sex and even mentions of sexual assault. This solidifies further on why I think the movie was made for a foreign audience, since I don't think it would have passed the censorship test in India for that decade.
This 2-hour movie, The Monsoon Wedding, brings me to the marriages that have their culture that basically resides most in the rural India nowadays. But apart from that, this movie makes me feel very connected, and it will not make anyone feel bored since it's so relatable. You will find yourself attached with the movie throughout. And the beautiful description of the culture of Indian marriage by Meera Nair is it's amazing. It's fabulous. And there are basically 3 parallel stories in the movie, and all are well connected. But the one that I found very interesting and engaging was where was the love story and marriage of Vijay Raj and Tilotama Shom, and along with his partner Alice, Tilotama Shom is playing the role of Alice. They are so good with their expression that it will catch your attention, and the movie is so good. It's so amazing. It is family oriented, and I really love the movie, and I would recommend this movie to all.
So talking about the technicality of the film, it was simply beautiful and so the most relatable to the Indian audience. It did not include some serious unexpected plot twists, though at some point the way the dialogues ended and the background music and camera worked so well with a very good amalgamation of the two that it constantly made me feel that now something unhappy or tragic might happen. Like maybe now the bride would run away, or Ria would never open up about the abuses she went through, or the event manager and the maid won't end up together. But cinematography was done very beautiful and simply, that and nothing too dramatically. I found that throughout the whole movie, this camera mainly focused on the expressions or gestures of the characters to showcase the importance of each expression, which was of different aspects of phases in various relationships presented. As I mentioned, the movie mostly contains simple cinematographic shots like cut, camera angle. I even found ambient lighting in the scene where Aditi decides to go and meet up her ex-boyfriend in the car. There were many montage scenes in the movie. Also, a tint of flashback when Dubey remembers how Alice got ready with her owner's ornaments. I personally felt that the shots were taken very realistically and gave us the perfect feel of a big fat Indian wedding. That's all.
So this is it for this week's podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll meet you back again with another movie review podcast next week. Till then, see you and bye-bye.